Right, really quick bit of filming. So I've gummed it. I've gone for the bandage over the top as well, just to keep it in a nice airtight. Yeah, I suppose airtight. So just temporary plastic cuffs on it there while it dries. Obviously, I'm not going to run it with plastic cuffs on because they'll just melt straight on. But yeah, it's a shame though. I wish I'd filmed it because I thought I'd give it a go without the silencer boxes on the end and just start it up. That's mental. Also completely and utterly illegal, certainly in this country anyway. But it ran fine. But yeah, wouldn't get away with that. Yeah, what else have I done? I've taken the overflow box off because sorry, this is the coolant overflow. I took the sides off and it just looked a bit rank. And let me show you what it looks like inside. 2 seconds. Right, so I thought I'd have a go at that belt guard because I'm a bit restricted what I can do because of this one. Beat down. Good girl. Good girl. So I don't want to leave her alone too much. Yeah, I whipped the overflow off and yeah, for one it's minging, but for two, locked, which can't be a good thing. Look at the colour of the sludge that comes out of that. Well, it's liquid. I'm not sure it's coolant anymore. That's fairly horrible. So what? Amongst other things today, I'm going to give that a clean out. Need to do a coolant flush on that bike as well before I run it too much. So whilst the bandages on the exhausts are drying, which is a 24-hour process apparently, so I won't bother doing the wrap today, but I might, if nothing else, just drain the coolant out of it and do a quick cold flush with straight water, i.e. not running up the bike, just rushing it through. And then tomorrow while I'm yeah, this tends to go everywhere, so I think what I'll do is I'll do that first. So I'll do a warm flush. So I've got water, I've got white vinegar, and I'll just flush it through a few times. Bugger, I did meant to get some from Halfords today. Never mind. And then I'll just give it some flush throughs. Cool, okay, so. Okay, so coolant bottle cleaned out. That is water and vinegar in there at the moment, and I've wrapped it and it looks so much better already. I'm just trying to burn it off a bit. I don't know if it fuel, put a bit more fuel in. Come on. And it sounds immense. Listen to this. Power on. Okay, in a brief snap in time according to video editing, but in actuality about 4 days, 3 or 4 days. So what's been going on? I haven't been filming a lot, I don't really know why. Possibly because I was nipping in and out sorting out the dog, and it kept ruining my flow. So what have I got? I've done the coolant, so that's had several flushes through, mostly rust running through it. I don't think there's any coolant in it, I think it was just water. So that's now better. I have indicators, so they are bodge wired as you can tell at the moment, but they do work. They're not the brightest thing in the world, but they're better than now. So rear left and rear right. They are small, but I actually think they look quite cool. I'm not entirely convinced on the full that I'm going to mount them there permanently. I would like to get rid of that and cut it off, but actually there's holes it fits. there's part of me that just says stick with it. I do need to tidy up the wiring, but until I've come to a decision in my mind, I'm not going to do it. I'll just turn that off. What else have I done? That is the belt guard from the eBay kit that I sprayed up black and swapped across, which I think looks quite cool. Obviously I've done the wrap, I saw that on the last video, but the biggest change out of the lot is at the front end. So it's all black, which I really like. I just think it adds some bulk to it. There was a big crack, you can still kind of see it. It was all on an angle. Effectively it just needed a little bit of bending back and then pushing the plastic back together. So dismantled it, which I didn't film, rubbed it down, sprayed it up. Now some of it is chrome stuff, so I don't know how well it's going to last, but effectively I rubbed it down, got rid of all of the cracks and everything, filled them in, glued them up, a little bit of filler in a couple of places. As far as undercoating, well, I really scratched up really scraped in on the chrome. Undercoat wise, I went for some Hammerite spray paint. I don't think I've got any to hand here, it's out the back. Hammerite spray paint, which I put on, which I could only get in satin, so I've effectively used that as an undercoat, as a primer. Bearing in mind it's one coat stuff, so it's primer and lacquer. Then, because I didn't like it, it's a bit shiny, I used some sort of cheapy matte on it. You can see the odd bit where it's not perfect, but it's so much better than it was, and it just looks beefier, cooler, rather than old chrome and black nasty paint, which was fundamentally what was over it. Black nasty paint, which was fundamentally what's over it. Looks so much better. Indicators wired in at the front. Again, same one, small. They're bulb ones, even though it's an LED flasher, which is a bit strange, but haven't quite worked that one out. One of the guys, I can't remember, but I will give you due credit later, mentioned about, because I just had one cable on it, said about you had to wire on your own earth, which effectively I did, and they worked fine. Mounting wise, obviously you had big holes in the side here because it's big clampy ones, so that's been, you can still see the outline of it to a degree, so that's filled in with like weld stick stuff, like oh, what's it called? It's in the other room. Oh, there you go. The old instant putty stuff, which was great. So filled in the gap with that, covered it over, sanded it down. You still see the outline to a degree. You've got an existing mounting bolt. It's a bit bright, can't quite see. An existing mounting bolt at the back. Drilled a hole in it. My new favourite stuff is the banding stuff, builder's banding. So cut two sections out of that. One mounted through the original hole, one through the hole through the putty weld stuff, and through, and it works. Now bearing in mind, these are old ones from my diversion. I didn't want to go for anything, you know, yeah, probably safer, but looks wank. I also checked up on the legalities. Now, the MOT's, it's a bit of an odd one. Indicators need to work if they're fitted. Yeah, okay. There's also an element, if I think a bike was built before 1986, it doesn't need them. So this is an 85, or registered 85. So legally it doesn't need them. However, people drive like, excuse my French, arseholes around here, and why wouldn't you? I think, yeah. So I've stuck them on, and I think they look quite cool. I'm just going to run it up in a second. I won't try and film me trying to run it up, so I've got to put some fuel in it first, but I'll put some fuel in it and then give it a go. Now, it's not started for a week, so we'll see how it goes, because I just need to warm that coolant through, and just to get it a little bit of a run through. I think it needs it, so give me a second and I'll go and fill her up. Right, so a bit of fuel, chuck on a little bit of choke just because it's not been started for a while. Side stand. readjust my my secondary tank. Right, I've had a bit of tinker with that secondary tank. Let's try that again. Try turning it on. That you fool. Running through fuel. Oh, that is soaked on one side, dry on the other. I think I've got a float height issue on this carb. In fact, I've not taken the carbs off at all yet. Doesn't help that I'm running off a spare tank, and there's a story behind that, and it's really, excuse my French, pisses me off. So bought it from the guy, look back on the video, he just had the tank supposedly professionally resprayed, and when he went to drop it off it was shite. Honestly, it was awful. And he said, oh yeah, the guy got his apprentice to do it, took it back. It's all in the previous video. That was 2 weeks ago, and he's now saying, oh yeah, the guy's, he's not answering his phone, the painter's rubbish. Now I'm adamant that it wasn't freshly painted. He did it himself and cocked it up, and he's probably trying to do it again. I just want the freaking tank. I want to see if this moves. I want to see if it selects gears, and he's just being a pain in the arse. And there's only a certain amount of chasing you can do without overly doing it. And I don't want to piss off the guy too much because I want the freaking tank. I'm entirely happy to paint it myself. I've done it before. End result was pretty good. Looking at the state it was in when he'd done it, he must have done it himself. Yeah, and I just wish he'd come clean and say, like, I did it myself, I cooked it up. I've tried it again, I've cooked it up again, if indeed he has, and just drop the fucking thing off. Excuse my French. Yeah, we'll see. I just want the tank. I want to take it for a bit of a cruise and see if it works. Right, while I'm waiting for a tank, I've got the sides off. They're quite grotty. I might try a bit of back to black on them, see if that saves them. Failing that, I'll just paint them. Ditto with the radiator, which is just plastic, so it looks. I'm a bit concerned about all the bolts as to whether or not they'll come out, or whether or not I have to drill them out, but that needs to come off and needs to get a bit of a clean up as well. Ditto with the horns and the Kawasaki sign, which I kind of love. I did consider having the indicators down here, but they'd be too close together, I think. I'm not convinced they're far enough apart as it is, but we should get away with it. So yeah, I want to do something with this to tart it up. I need to come to a bit more of a decision on the indicators and work out whether or not, excuse my shadow, whether or not they're going to stay there. I think they are, which means I need to sort that wiring out a little bit. I need to sort out the wiring disaster that is here. I have had a quick go at recovering the seat, or one of the seats, so I'll chuck that back on just so you get an idea of the poise of the bike. I think today I might take off the carbs and have a look, because even on a reserve tank it shouldn't be chucking out that much fuel. There's definitely something amiss there. I think it's probably stuck float, maybe, but I haven't taken them off yet, so I do need to have a look and see what general condition they're in. Guy convinced me it had a carb rebuild, but frankly, lack of faith with how he's dealing with this sodding tank. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. Cool. Right. What am I going to do then? What am I going to do today and now? I think I'll sort out the. Yeah, I'll have a sort out of the wiring a bit, I think. the back just to tartan that up a little bit, and I'll chuck the seat on so you can see what it looks like as well. Cool. Ta-da. Okay, so it may have been something as simple as fuel leak out the pipe. Dodgy. So I've just put a Jubilee clip on and that seems to be holding it quite well. Ticking over nicely. And that's the healthiest it sounded. He says. Like I said, I managed to run it up last time. I have found the idle switch. The idle is right underneath. There you go. Let me just try and give it a bit more idle. I played with it yesterday. I just think it was idling and it seems like, no, that's fine. I'm not going to tear the carbs off yet because I just sent the guy a bit of an ultimatum and said, look, I found a tank on eBay, it's 200 quid from the US. You refund me that, I buy a new one, or you can give me the painter's number, or you can sort it out yourself. He's come back and said, yeah, I've got the tank. I'm still maintaining he's got it from the painter, but I'm adamant there is no such thing. But it looks like he's going to drop it off today, which frankly I believe when I see, but I'm just desperate to get this bike moving to see whether or not it moves. I've had a quick go at the tank. I've got a couple of seized bolts, one there and this one on the other side. This one's fine. I can't be arsed stripping them out at the moment. It's there, it looks ugly, I'll sort it out. I'm not going to do it right now. What I want to do is get this coolant just flushing through it, get it working, see if I can run it to enough temperature to get the fan going. I know the fan works, but I don't know whether or not the thermostat works, so I don't know whether or not it will detect when it needs a fan. But I just want to let it run for a while. It just sounds good. Every time this bike depresses me, I do this. It sounds great. Well, that was a bit smoky. See, it's got a fairly consistent drip from that left-hand carb. Now it's gravity fed off a second tank at the moment, so what? I'm not going to piss around with it yet. The tank is arriving at some point today. I want to try it with the tank. So then it is at least vacuum fed, so it's getting the fuel in the way it's designed to take it. And bearing in mind that the fuel T-bar, can't quite see it, is on same side as the leak. It might just be getting too much fuel through drifting through. Doesn't seem to be. It might just be getting too much fuel through. Don't know. That said, the other side's sealing fine. Firing on both cylinders, so that was working fine. So I should have a good setting as to what the float height should be, because I think that's just getting too much fuel. But like I say, I'm not getting overly excited because it's not running on a tank, it's running on a side and on a secondary tank. Yeah, and because the other tank is coming, I don't feel the urge to rip the carbs off and start digging through them. I will, but until I find out how it runs off the tank, not that concerned. Obviously it's made a bit of a mess of the driveway, but hey, I'm just going to keep Right, so I've taken the AirPods off because they are fairly drenched. I think because they were drenched, it was just starving it of fuel, starving it of air. There is a... So I've just put fuel in without running it. I mean, it runs fine with it, with no restrictions at all. But the fact that that is fuel coming out through the jets says to me the float heights are either wrong or the floats are sticking. Which, and the other isn't so wet, but that said it was quite wet. But frankly, as number one was getting more saturated and starving of fuel, starving of air, it would have been pushing the pressure onto number two and screwing that one up too. So so what? I think the float heights or the float valves are stuck on one. What am I going to do? I think I'm just going to whip it off. I'll let it drain out because there's a little bit of fuel left in it. Yeah, when you increase pressure, the flow by increased height, the speed, or it speeds up. So those floats aren't shutting it when it's full, they're allowing more fuel to come through. So yeah, I'm fairly convinced that that's floats on one. Like I said before, there's quite a lot of groups and stuff on there. There's one on Facebook actually with a guy that's going through exactly the same. So I might just have a dig through that and see what the score is, or if nothing else, try and find out what the float height should be. I've got a decent set of calipers, I can test it. Yeah, that's one of those things, isn't it? The engine seems fine. I might actually, yeah, I'm going to take off the sparks, have a look at them, and do a compression test before I piss around whilst that's drained. Cool. Be right back. Right, so compression test. Unplug both sparks because I don't really want it to start. I've got throttle wide open. Helps if I turn the engine on. Yeah, neutral. All right, as good as a go. Now, having said I've got the throttle wide open, I then forgot to open the throttle. Throttle wide open. Oh, that's shite. Oh, that'd be why. That'll be why. I haven't put it in properly. That was a worry. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, that was a concern. The washer from the spark plug was still there and it wasn't screwed in properly. Yeah, always do a dig test. Not that you've got one. An equal opportunities YouTube, or just the not being one. So that is better. Let's try that again. So throttle wide open, ignition on. Throttle wide open. Difficult to film this while doing it. So, 1 and a bit. That's good enough for me. I'll check up what it should be, but that's not ridiculous. Right, I'll undo that and do the other side. So that is, yeah, what are the gradations? They're 5 and they 105. Happy. Right, speaking of sparks, have a quick look before we go any further. Look quite new. Did say they were new, but trust guide about as far as I can throw in. They are a bit burnt, so it's running a bit rich. Not that that's an issue for now, but I'll keep an eye on that. Cool. Right, hands set up for 1. See if I can do this multitasking. So throttle open, power on. Oh, hang on, I've got to 0 it first. Love that noise. Right, let's try it. Ugh, throttle open, power on. Not so good. Let me just check my connections again. Oh, see if I've made a stupid mistake again. Yeah, I have. Let's tighten that up. Right, trying again. Throttle open, power on. So that might well be pistons on the left hand side. Right, let me just reset this, make sure I've got a decent seal, and I'll do it again. Okay, so I've dribbled some engine oil into the spark gap, or spark plug case. And let's see how we go. So throttle wide open and start. Takes me nicely up. So yeah, I think that's piston rings. Let's do one more just to confirm. That seems to be piston rings. That's assuming that I did it upright first time, which I'm pretty sure I did. Cool. So what? I'm going to wait for the tank to come before I take anything off, because I want to see how it operates off the tank rather than off the vacuum. I'll leave the AirPods off and just run it a little bit, which, yeah, I'll do that. And I might just take it up and down the road on with a tank just to see whether, I don't even know if the gears engage. And it's been nearly 3 weeks waiting to find out, so it's killing me. So yeah, I'll see what happens. But I also want to do another compression test, because I'm not convinced that I had that on right first time, because that's a big change for some engine oil on the top. It shouldn't jump up that much, but we'll see. Cool, I'll catch you later. Ta-da.